I'm Yuxi Zhou. My English name is Zoe. I'm from Beijing, China. So in my first impression, if you just ask me about this question, I don't think it really affects me a lot. I'm as a PhD student, because maybe my background or my time, I couldn't have a lot of time to play or hang out with, just like friends. Like, it's very limited for me. I do think there's both good side and the bad side about the drop of the community or the people. Just as Chinese, I would say when I see the drop of Chinese people coming in, we do have better cord that people like to unite together because we have such small group and people like to help each other or to get the contact more often than before. As I'm not just a student, as a, let's say, judge of this environment, definitely the decrease of international students, especially for undergraduate students, I think that will drop the revenue for the school as the tuition side.
There's a lot of aspects that we need to think about, obviously, and I think the one that most people think about is financial. So when we have less undergraduate students, obviously we have less students as a whole, which means that and undergraduate students typically pay full freight where graduate students do not. So, we can't ignore that, right? There is a financial impact on any institution that loses their international students. But if you think about the broader picture, 70% of our international students are graduate students. And graduate students teach classes, they do research, they support getting things published. They will be teaching assistants in a classroom, even if they're not teaching a class. They're doing jobs where they would be supporting departments. Especially, it's easy for me to talk about my own graduate assistant. The perspective she brings to orientation is essential for us. We don't have the same experiences that an international student is going to have. Having an international student, which I do as a graduate assistant, brings a perspective that opens my mind to things that are needed, and it would do the same for anyone who's interacting with that student, whether it's a professor or another student.
It's not conflicting with our motto. How do we decide?
But I've never been able to figure out how to introduce in a positive way all of the international students and the external community. We do that through Street Fair, which is fine, and that's a great place too. But there's other things to students besides the culture that they bring. Not that that's not lovely, but how do we, introduce our students in a way that maybe they're taking part in a service learning with other community members. Maybe they're doing research that impacts that community and they can actually meet and talk about it. So I think there are other ways that diversity needs to be introduced. I don't think just sharing culture and saying, oh, this is neat, is the right way to do that necessarily. Because in order for people to really get to know each other, to understand each other, to build respect for each other, it needs to come from a real conversation, right? And that real conversation might happen in a space where someone is doing a service learning project, or they're working together, or they're, talking about a shared passion, like whether it's someone who maybe is doing research on coal mines or something to that effect that's important to people in this community. There's a connector there.
Yeah, I've had many, many great engagements with international students. Nadia Ikenovich came to me because we were creating a new little park in the city of Athens.